Hey everybody. Today's video topic is going to be something a little bit different than what I usually post, and it may end up being more valuable actually. So a lot of the content that I put up here is really around what to do when things are going well, or when you are trying to grow your business, etc. Today, I want to talk to you about what kinds of things can go wrong in this industry in a more revenue focused role. And I want you to think about some things that you can do in order to shore up the back end of your career. And when I say the back end, I don't mean the back end temporally. I mean the back end in terms of tasks and things that are more administrative. I'll give you some examples of what I'm talking about. So things like expense reports. Like in the past, I've not been the best personally at filling out things like expense reports. Doing things like following up with customers that you haven't talked to in a while. Things like getting your certifications if a customer asks for it or if your job requires it. There's all these like little back-end tasks that are often a part of your job that have to get done. And I want to talk a little bit about how to deal with those and ways that you can mitigate them. The one obvious way to get rid of tasks that also can be fraught with risk but can be done effectively if you know what you're doing is to eliminate them. So in other words, just don't do the thing that your company has asked for, or don't do the thing that your customer has demanded. Be very sure that if you're going to ignore something, that it's actually ignorable and that you have a backup in case it's no longer ignorable. I'll give you an example. In my line of work, I'm required to get a certification either every year or every other year, depending on what kind of cert you get. And the idea is supposed to be that I can maintain my level of skill in a particular expertise. Now, one of the problems with doing this certification every year is that at some point in time, you might run out of certifications. Or maybe the type of certification that your company wants you to get is something that's no longer relevant to your job role because things have changed, because of AI, or because the industry has moved on to some other technique, and the particular exam or whatever that you're supposed to be taking doesn't cover that relevant content. At some companies, you can just say, I'm not going to do that, and just ask for forgiveness rather than permission. Now, if you have an email thread that's from your management that says anybody who doesn't do XYZ is going to be, terminated, or could potentially be terminated. Could potentially means will be, by the way, in those kind of scenarios. Then maybe this isn't the best approach to take. Maybe you should just suck it up, do the certification, and deal with it, even though it's something that's not relevant. Another great idea would be for you to do that certification and then make a video or some sort of other content for your customers or even for your peers as to why this particular certification is no longer relevant. Doing a little bit of extra work, a little short thing, might convince your management that maybe this isn't something that you have to renew next year. Because remember that if those certification processes or if those requirements come back again and again, you're going to want to save your future self some time. So documenting why you think XYZ isn't relevant going forward, even though you're taking a little bit of time in the short term, will end up saving you a lot of time in the long term. And I would say for tasks that you want to eliminate, try your best to at least have a little bit of documentation around it. Sorry, I got to hang up this call. I get a lot of these weird calls all the time. So I guess that's modern life, right? We all get weird calls and stuff. And that's an example of another thing that you can just ignore, right? If you get phone calls during the middle of your workday and you're recording a video or knee deep in a project, like just ignore it. Do your best. You do not have to pick up the phone every single time somebody calls you. Now, if it's your boss, maybe call back, immediately after and just say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was on a call with another customer," or whatever you were doing, right? But yeah, ignore the fluff as best as you can. So what if you can't ignore the topic? What if it's something that you have to do that you don't really want to do? Some cases, some of that administrative work are things that you can offload to an AI agent. Now, I'm gonna be very, very clear about what I mean by an AI agent. Okay, because a lot of you work in corporate companies where your data is not allowed to leave your control. And so I work for a company that's like that, right? And most companies don't want to be giving out their IP to competitors or to just random strangers. So, like in my example, I have a corporate access to Gemini that I use with my company. And so my agent is just literally a cron job that runs Gemini CLI. That's it. That's all I do. So don't use unapproved tools if you can get away with not doing that. Like, don't put yourself at that kind of risk. But figure out what tools you can use that can do things for you while you are not working. Like, very, very important. Cron is a scheduling application that's a part of Linux, and it is a great tool. It's so awesome. Scheduling out emails in advance in Google or Outlook or whatever. Anything that you can do ahead of time that will act on your behalf outside of your keyboard time is exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So make sure you set those kinds of things up as best as you can. This is especially true with follow-ups, like following up with customers. I have an email thread that has just a mass list of customer contacts, and every 3 months I just set up an email with some of these customer contacts that I haven't talked to in a while and say, "Hey, it's been a few months since we've chatted. What's going on in your world? You have some time to chat, or are you busy? Just let me know what's up." And that way, if there are people that I haven't talked to in a while, it'll send them a message, and I can just continually add to. And then if I talk to somebody, I just take them off that list, and it's pretty easy. It's pretty simple. It's just a draft. You should have that kind of stuff sitting in your folder so that you can keep up with people that you don't talk to all the time. Maybe you might even want to combine those two and have that AI agent continually prune that list for you. Be creative. Like, you're a technical person in a technical role. Your technical skills can still be used in a business context. It's not like you just have to be knee deep into whatever the thing is you're trying to sell or whatever the thing is you're trying to build, right? You can use those learnings, that systematic approach to taking care of administrative stuff in your day. The other piece of advice that you could do other than that is delegate to a human. Oftentimes you will have like independent salespeople like BDRs and ISR, inside sales reps, folks that aren't necessarily on your account team or that aren't a part of, and by the way, this doesn't really apply to CTOs. This is more for people that are like sales engineers and that kind of thing. You will have other humans that can help you do your job or help you, follow up with specific customers or whatever. Like, use those people. They're there. And they get comped on, business that you help sell. So, use the people that are in your network at your company. For people who are like independent CTOs, that are looking at this content and like they want to be close to the revenue, but their company's really small. Yeah, maybe you don't have those kind of people inside of your company of 5 people. But what you do have is you have folks that are partners that want to work with you to sell your stuff so that they can sell their stuff. So be building out a network of ecosystem partners in whatever product or whatever technology you sell, that you can have those people do outreach and do a few tasks on your behalf to help them sell your product, because ultimately they are going to be selling their product alongside with it. So I would say try your best to keep up with some of those administrative things. Leave some stuff in the comments if you have more tips on how to deal with that kind of stuff. And leave it for me too, because I still struggle in this and I really want the community to help me as well. So hopefully this video was good for you and helped you understand a little bit about some of the ways that you can deal with and manage administrative tasks and extra back-end stuff. And let's learn together.